The epic saga of Ragnarok has captivated audiences with its blend of Norse mythology, supernatural intrigue, and complex characters. Season after season, viewers have eagerly followed the unfolding events, becoming deeply invested in the fate of the characters and the impending battle between giants and humans. However, as anticipation reached its peak for the Season 3 finale, what many had hoped would be a climactic and satisfying conclusion left a lingering sense of disappointment and confusion. In this exploration, we delve into the elements that led to the mixed reception of Ragnarok's Season 3 finale and attempt to understand what went wrong in the eyes of devoted fans and critics alike. The ultimate season of Ragnarok Season 3 has recently been unveiled, marking the conclusion of the beloved series. It's quite evident that the conclusion of this much-adored show caught numerous viewers off guard, actually a great multitude of people. While I was seated, engrossed in the unfolding narrative, the tension steadily mounted until the climax. Having invested over 5.5 hours in the story, the ultimate half hour was disappointingly trite and lacked the anticipated intensity, making it one of the most cliched and unsatisfying conclusions I've encountered in recent television. In light of this, I deemed it fitting to express my reflections and viewpoints regarding the show and its culmination, elucidating how the creators, unfortunately, faltered in their execution. What proved to be unsatisfactory about the culmination was that leading up to the 5th episode, the series had been making commendable progress. The storyline had been unfolding at a reasonable pace, particularly concerning the core plot. The prospect of a climactic final battle, a long-anticipated culmination that had been meticulously built throughout the series, seemed promising. This sentiment was particularly heightened by the fact that the concluding episode bore the title Ragnarok, suggesting a monumental climax. However, the entire atmosphere of the show underwent a dramatic shift upon entering this final episode. It felt as though the anticipated season finale was somewhat absent. The 5th episode perhaps serves as a more fitting conclusion, depicting a resolution between the giants and the gods, bringing about a semblance of harmony. Regrettably, the absence of a grand battle leading up to this resolution was evident. Instead, the culmination took place in a rather ordinary meeting held within a warehouse. This gathering gave the impression that a confrontation had been orchestrated, albeit resulting in an underwhelming outcome. The most glaring concern with this ending becomes pronounced in the last 30 minutes of the concluding episode. The very notion that the entirety of the story and plot was contained within Magnus's mind felt like a contrived, lackluster move that did not give due credit to the audience. This, in turn, came at the expense of the viewer's valuable time. What exacerbated this was the fact that the series had never been steering in that direction from the outset. Typically, there are subtle indications and hints that observant viewers can grasp along the journey. However, in this case, it felt as if this particular direction had never genuinely been the show's original intention, and the narrative veered in this direction only when crafting the final season. In the final season, there was the potential to witness the unfolding of Ragnarok and a climactic battle that could have matched the glimpses we had been given. Regrettably, what transpired instead was a battle of little consequence, confined within Magnus's imagination during his graduation ceremony. This diversionary event did not hold the weight of actual mythological elements, rendering the show's approach redundant and devoid of purpose. While I appreciated the concept of Magnus delving into his imagination to escape reality, the actual execution left much to be desired. The trauma he had endured in reality led him to morph into this heroic persona, idealizing Thor's might and aspiring to his power. Likewise, individuals like Fjord, Saxa, and Rand took on the roles of the giants, embodying the malevolent figures in Ida. But honestly, we deserved a more gratifying conclusion than the one presented. Moreover, the substantial disparities in the timing of the revelation left us grappling with what was genuine and what was fabricated. Did Magna's interactions with Fjord's family involve threats other than a hammer? Did any of the confrontations truly transpire? Or was Magna confined to his room, merely envisioning these sequences in his mind? The apparent lack of concern from his circle of friends about his well-being raised eyebrows as well. The narrative seemed haphazardly executed, lacking the meticulous planning it deserved. The show's creators seem to have backed themselves into a corner, resolving much of the plot by the fifth episode, only to scramble for a way to maintain intrigue over the final 6 episodes. It's truly disheartening that the show had to conclude in such a manner. While its intentions were undoubtedly noble, the execution fell short, undermining the entire foundation the show had established. Consequently, nothing from the narrative held any significance, meaning, or worth. This outcome is undeniably regrettable. Don't misunderstand me. The glimpses of the battle within Magnus's mind were visually stunning, and I'm appreciative of witnessing some form of its unfolding. However, I can't help but imagine what it would have been like if the events carried weight, held value, and bore genuine repercussions. The absence of a momentous showdown to wrap up the series is a missed opportunity. Envision a scenario where Thor perishes in reality just as he did within Magnus's mind. The camera retreats slowly, fading into darkness. Such an ending, devoid of survivors and tinged with bleakness, would have been a striking reflection of the show's cancellation by Netflix. Alas, these are mere musings of what might have been. Now, let's explore other aspects of this final season, beyond the conclusion, which also contributed to the show's diminishing strength and solidity compared to its preceding 2 seasons. Beyond the concluding episode, Season 3 of the show exhibited a multitude of flaws that contributed to its overall disappointment. These shortcomings extended to various aspects of the story, including its pacing and several other elements, forming a collective set of reasons for the series' perceived failure. One of these issues revolves around the character development within this season, particularly concerning Magnus. His sudden and jarring transformation, along with altered mannerisms, caught me off guard and lacked a sense of natural progression. As the season commenced, his newfound power seemed to inflate his ego, leading to a shift that overwhelmed his character. This alteration caused him to adopt an air of superiority, distancing himself from those he held dear, including his mother and Sydney. Unfortunately, this narrative direction proved to be a significant misstep for the show. Magnus's evolution into an immensely unlikable character resulted in me, and many other viewers, ceasing to root for him. This shift in sentiment is particularly problematic considering Magnus is the series' protagonist. We are meant to champion his success and be invested in his journey. However, in this particular instance, he transformed into an exceedingly exasperating and unlikable figure. I found myself no longer aligning with Magnus's perspective. Simultaneously, the portrayals of characters like Fjord, Saxa, and Ron became so unappealing that it became virtually impossible to rally behind any individual within the narrative. Consequently, I watched the show with a sense of detachment, indifferent to the unfolding events. This situation is among the most undesirable positions a show's creators can place their audience in, as emotional investment wanes and engagement dwindles. This, alongside the ending, was the most aggravating aspect of the series. Moreover, another aspect that left me disheartened was the inconsistent treatment of story elements. The series would introduce certain developments early on, only to casually overlook or entirely forget about them as the story neared its conclusion. An example of this lies in Fjord's inclinations towards violence. Even if it was metaphorical, symbolizing Jutul's destructive influence in Edda, the narrative seemed to imply something different in real time. The lack of continuity in handling these threads was disappointing. Initially, Fjord was on a relentless killing spree, indiscriminately claiming lives at every turn. Yet as we progressed beyond the 3rd episode, this sinister aspect of his character inexplicably faded away. It felt as if we had been observing an individual plunging deeper into darkness, only for this integral element to be abruptly abandoned, never to be acknowledged again. This narrative thread, which had seemed profoundly significant in the unfolding plot, was disappointingly relegated to oblivion. Its lack of resolution rendered it a pointless addition, detracting from the story's coherence. Season 3 had the potential to conclude with a resounding impact, cementing its legacy alongside the highly regarded first 2 seasons. However, the rushed and uninspiring denouement, coupled with the proliferation of plot holes and flaws, turned the series into a casualty of its own creation. The ending seemed like a hastily constructed homework assignment, akin to a mere dream sequence. Employing such twists may have been clever decades ago, but in the present day, successfully executing such a maneuver necessitates a high degree of ingenuity, leaving no room for missteps or inconsistencies. Regrettably, this one failed to accomplish that ambition. It lacked the anticipated climactic battle, and none of the events unfolded in reality. They were all confined within the protagonist's psyche. And so, there you have it, the unraveling of how the conclusion of Ragnarok's third season undermined the show. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.